this message found you, it wasn't by accident. There are moments that slip quietly into our lives, unannounced, uncelebrated, yet carrying the weight of destiny behind them. This is one of those moments. Something aligned for you to be here right now, not because you were searching, but because you were being guided. You've always felt it, haven't you? That subtle knowing deep in your chest. The awareness that your life was never meant to fit inside small boxes. You never blended fully into the background. Even when you tried to stay ordinary, something inside you refused to shrink. You questioned limits while others accepted them. You noticed possibilities where most people saw routines. You carried the quiet sense that you were built for more, long before you could explain what that more actually was. And maybe you never spoke it aloud, but the feeling followed you everywhere. Even as a child, you looked at the world differently. While others rushed to fit in, you wondered why the path ahead seemed wider for you than it did for them. You observed people. You studied patterns. You felt systems before you had words for them. You never felt superior, just separate. Small conversations never held your attention. Narrow dreams never satisfied your spirit. You listened to people talk about survival as if it were the highest goal, while something inside you whispered, there has to be more than this. Here's a truth few people understand. Those chosen for expansion are almost always born into environments too small to contain them. The tension you felt growing up, that restlessness, that dissatisfaction with normal, it wasn't rebellion, it was recognition. Your spirit could feel the size of what it carried, even while your surroundings couldn't yet support it. Have you ever wondered why just getting by was never enough for you? Why average felt heavy, like a jacket 2 sizes too tight? Why routine drained you in ways it never seemed to drain others? You've always needed vision to breathe. You needed purpose before you could even rest. And many times, you wondered if something was wrong with you for feeling this way. But there was never anything wrong with you. You were designed for expansion. You may already recognize this pattern. You outgrow places faster than most people. Friendships start to feel small as your awareness increases. Dreams that once excited you eventually reveal their limits. And just when you think, maybe this is enough, your soul responds quietly. Not for you. This is why you've often felt misunderstood. Not because you look different, but because your assignment is different. Your mind moves faster than most conversations can keep up with. Your vision extends beyond casual planning. Your heart longs for impact, not merely comfort. You weren't built to exist. You were built to steward, to shape resources, to expand influence, to carry responsibility most people never even consider. And before wealth touched your life externally, the consciousness of wealth was already awakening within you. That's why you've always lived inside a paradox. Grateful for what you have, yet restless for what you know is possible. Content, but never complete. Satisfied, yet still reaching. Here's another quiet truth that almost no one talks about. Chosen ones often spend years feeling out of place before realizing they were never misplaced. They were simply being prepared. Timing matters. Awakening comes in stages. And identity always awakens before manifestation appears. You are not late. You are not behind. Nothing has passed you by. You were being prepared long before you even realized what you were preparing for. And now, something inside you knows the waiting phase is shifting. You've felt it, haven't you? A subtle change in your emotional atmosphere. An inner stirring you can't quite explain. fears that no longer grip you the way they used to. Thought ceilings starting to rise. Breath coming easier than it once did. This moment you're living in now, this awareness phase, this quiet urgency inside your chest, its activation beginning. Not the explosion yet, but the ignition. The recognition stage before arrival becomes visible. Because before wealth surrounds you, authority must rise within you. Before prosperity manifests around your life, your identity must widen enough to hold it. And that is exactly what has already started happening to you. You didn't stumble into this moment. You were led here. You didn't discover this message recognized you. And if something about these words resonates deeper than thought, it's because your spirit already knows what your timeline is preparing to reveal. You have never been ordinary. You were never meant to remain small. Your life was never designed for scarcity cycles or capped ceilings. Your story points forward into stewardship, influence, provision, and expansion. So let me ask you, gently and honestly, have you started to feel something big drawing closer? Not fear, not pressure, but momentum. That steady sense that what you've been preparing for emotionally is nearing visibility. Because those sensations are not coincidence. They are signals. Signals that the season of becoming is shifting into the season of arrival. Your billionaire season is not a fantasy. It is an alignment phase that begins first inside the chosen mind. And it always starts with this realization. You were chosen for more than survival. You were chosen for stewardship. You were chosen for expansion. And now, you are standing at the doorway of the life you've quietly been preparing to receive. If you feel that stirring inside you too, take a moment and type, "I receive it," in the comments. Not for me, but for yourself. Alignment spoken aloud awakens readiness. And if this message feels personal, if it feels like it's speaking directly into your journey, then you already know why you're here. This channel stands with you for what lies ahead. And this is only the beginning. Because what's coming next explains everything. There's a moment every chosen one eventually looks back on. The season when you first realized you were different, not in a way you could explain, but in a way you could feel. It came quietly. While others blended into crowds, you felt separated even while standing among them. While classmates daydreamed about weekends, you wondered what life itself was meant to become. While friends talked about fitting into routines, something deeper moved inside you. Not rebellion, not even ambition, but a hunger that had no language yet. And few understand why that happens. You weren't obsessed with money. You were obsessed with possibility. And that curiosity never came from lack. It came from destiny. You often felt older than your age, didn't you? Like your eyes carried weight your years hadn't earned yet. Like conversations around you were too light for the depth of your thoughts. Your awareness began earlier than most. You questioned life's structure before you were old enough to name what you were questioning. You noticed patterns. Who rose, who stayed stuck, who dreamed, who surrendered. You watched outcomes long before you understood systems. You wanted meaning, not noise. Purpose, not popularity. You could sit among people and still feel alone, not because friendships were missing, but because no one else seemed to be asking what you were asking. Why do some lives expand while others stay locked in cycles? Why do some people change their family lines while others repeat them? Why does it feel like I was born to interrupt patterns instead of follow them? Most of the time, you kept those questions to yourself. because difference often gets misunderstood. So you learned to adapt, to blend when necessary, to smile when required, to shrink whatever felt too large so you wouldn't seem strange. And here's what no one tells you. Compression always comes before expansion. You were shrinking yourself without realizing it. Trying to preserve belonging in places never meant to be permanent for your life. Have you ever looked back and wondered, why did I work so hard to fit where I never felt at home? That discomfort wasn't confusion. It was destiny pressure. Your inner design was wired for growth, but your environment wasn't built yet to support what you carried. And that tension produced loneliness, not visible loneliness, because you still showed up. You still laughed. You still participated. But inside, you felt unseen, not ignored, unrecognized, like something within you kept whispering, I don't belong here, but I don't know where I belong yet. That hurt, because it made you question yourself. Maybe you wondered, am I asking for too much? Am I expecting a life that doesn't exist for people like me? Should I stop hoping and settle into patterns that everyone else accepts? But hope never dies in chosen hearts. It only sleeps, waiting for alignment. And sometimes that loneliness grew louder at night, when the world around you seemed content repeating yesterday, while you lay awake imagining what life could become. Impact, freedom, creation, family lines lifted, generations changed. You didn't see wealth clearly yet, but you knew survival wasn't the destination. And you didn't understand why your soul longed for something larger. Until now, because chosen minds awaken early, not to money, but to significance. That sense of difference. It was leadership identity stirring. It was stewardship consciousness awakening. It was destiny testing your emotional capacity long before expanding your authority. And along the way, you learned how to walk alone emotionally, even surrounded, even laughing beside others, even while no one noticed the quiet hunger inside you. You became observant, empathetic, resilient. Loneliness didn't harden you, it refined you. You learned to read people deeply, to sense room energy, to hear what wasn't spoken. These were not weaknesses, they were training tools, because leaders must feel deeper than those they will guide. Builders must imagine larger than the land they stand on. And pioneers must learn to walk alone emotionally long before they walk ahead financially. And this is where many people fall away. Right when the weight of difference becomes heavy. Right when it feels safer to trade uniqueness for sameness. Right when doubt asks whether the longing was ever real. That stage is destiny's pressure chamber. It separates those who stay inwardly awake from those who fall asleep inside routine. But you didn't surrender. You may have grown quiet, you may have hidden certain dreams, you may have turned your fire inward, but it never went out. It only waited. Waiting for oxygen, waiting for clarity, waiting for permission. And now, that inward flame is learning how to breathe outward again. You're beginning to realize something powerful. Your difference was never the problem. Your timing was the tension. Because souls chosen for expansion always awaken before environments are ready to receive them. Let me ask you gently, did you grow up feeling misunderstood, even by people who loved you? Did you sense that few could grasp the depth of what you carried? Did you ever feel like you were watching life instead of fully stepping into it yet? If you did, you weren't behind, you were ahead and waiting. Your awakening phase wasn't about rejection. It was about preparation for leadership isolation. Because no one guides crowds emotionally without first learning to walk alone. No one stewards wealth without first stewarding solitude. And now something subtle is changing. Loneliness is turning into clarity. Uncertainty is becoming curiosity. Dreams are shifting from vague to visionary. And here's the turn. The era of feeling different ends the moment you stop seeing your difference as a flaw and start recognizing it as a calling. That shift is already moving inside you. Your thinking is widening. Your tolerance for smallness is shrinking. Your spirit is rising taller than your fear. Because destiny is rearranging your identity from the inside outward. Have you felt it? That quiet sense of internal realignment? That what once made you alone now feels like confirmation? That maybe your hunger was never misplaced. It was prophetic. And if this wave touches something in your story, if these words echo your journey, tell me in the comments, when did you first realize you were different? And if you feel that destiny consciousness awakening right now, stay connected to Chosen Billionaire. This community was built for souls like yours, not to shrink, but to rise together. Because what's awakening inside you now explains everything that's coming next. They never quite understood you, not the way you thought, not the way you needed. Even when you stood in the middle of people, classmates, co-workers, family, there was always that invisible distance, a quiet separation you couldn't explain. You laughed when everyone laughed, nodded when everyone agreed. Yet inside, you felt like you were observing a world you never fully belonged to. And few realize this phase is the first true dividing line for the chosen ones. Because being misunderstood is not rejection. It is preparation. When God chose you, He didn't only select your future. He selected your solitude. The crowd was never meant to comprehend the depth within you. Most people can only recognize reflections of themselves, and what lives inside you has always stretched beyond their current understanding. And this is where the ache began. When you spoke about your ideas, they sounded too big. When you described what was stirring in your spirit, they called it unrealistic. When you talked of wealth, impact, and legacy, it felt like you were speaking a language no one around you understood yet. And here is the quiet truth few are ever prepared for. Distance grows before destiny shows. Friendships slowly thinned. Conversations became surface level. Messages went unanswered longer than before. Not because you did something wrong, but because your destiny shift had quietly begun. The moment divine timing activates, alignment starts rearranging your circle. Most people assume that rearrangement is loss, but the truth is, it was the awakening of your assignment. This was the moment when the chosen one message stopped feeling abstract and began shaping direction. You started realizing survival wasn't the destination. You weren't created just to pay bills, repeat routines, and age tired. You were created for capacity, for provision that moves beyond personal comfort and into generational purpose. And here's the truth few ever explain, and that realization can hurt. You never wanted to leave anyone behind. You weren't trying to rise above people. You were simply following the silent pull toward expansion, toward your calling, toward the future that wouldn't let you go. The chosen one message always whispers the same instruction. You must walk ahead before others can see the path. So you walked, even when it meant walking alone, and the loneliness came in waves. Late nights wondering if you had misunderstood the call. Moments when doubt crept in, asking if you imagined it all. Times when blending into normal sounded easier than remaining obedient to more. But few understand why this season exists. Isolation is not error. It is shaping. This is where God's chosen one is constructed internally. Before you lead, you must learn to stand without applause. Before abundance moves through your hands, you must trust when resources remain invisible. Before many follow, you must obey while unseen. There were days the weight felt heavy, days when you felt invisible, unheard. Have you known that quiet ache of listening deeply yet never being fully listened to? That was not rejection. That was refinement. Here is the truth most never discover. Heaven isolates before heaven elevates. Your spirit needed to detach from human validation so your identity could anchor fully into divine affirmation. This is the battlefield where many abandon their assignment. Because silence grows loud, waiting stretches thin, uncertainty presses hard. This is where many falter. They mistake the quiet season for a canceled one. But the prophetic word for today is clear. Silence does not signal absence. It signals alignment. You were not being set aside. You were being set apart. That longing you felt for wealth, purpose, and influence, it was never greed. It was spiritual wealth manifestation, awakening within you. A divine appetite forming for what you were chosen to steward. Your growth didn't make you lonely. Your destiny simply outgrew your surroundings. Some can only love you at the level of relatability, not revelation. They could walk with you while life felt familiar. But your divine path is unfamiliar territory. They didn't step away because you were wrong. They hesitated because you arrived early. And here is the hidden blessing few recognize. The separation phase protects you. It shields your calling from premature exposure. It prevents your destiny from dilution. It preserves your authority until divine timing arrives. Because God knew. If abundance reached you before identity stabilized, if wealth came while you still required outside understanding, then the weight of prosperity could have distorted your assignment. Protection often feels like loneliness. Calling frequently feels misunderstood. But this stage was never punishment. It was sacred preparation. And as you walked that stretch quietly, growing stronger beneath the surface, heaven took notice. Your resilience registered. Your obedience was recorded. Your tears were never unseen. And now comes the moment many struggle to believe can arrive. The isolation is ending. The refinement is completing. Divine wealth transfer never begins in crowds. It begins with the soul who endured unseen seasons. And here is what few are ready to accept. Your misunderstood years qualified you for the elevation now initiating. Because only one who learns to walk alone without bitterness can steward prosperity without arrogance. Only one refined through separation can receive heavenly increase without losing humility. And what approaches next is exactly what the waiting prepared you for. A season when those who once questioned you begin recognizing the anointing resting upon your life. But before that recognition becomes visible, there is one awakening still ahead. Because the next wave is where identity moves beyond survival and activates. The destiny that separated you is about to elevate you. Something changed inside you long before your circumstances ever did. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It was a quiet stirring. A recognition that the life scripted around you was too small for the calling written within you. At first, You didn't call it wealth. You thought it was ambition or restlessness. Maybe just the urge to do better. But the truth is far deeper. The separation phase does not remove people to punish you. It reveals who cannot walk into what's coming next. Some connections were designed only for early chapters of your story. Companions for who you were, not confirmations for who you are becoming. When God chose you, He didn't awaken hunger for wealth so you could become rich alone. He awakened it because He was preparing a vessel. There is a difference. Some people seek money, but chosen ones are prepared to steward wealth. One pursues accumulation, the other answers a call to distribution. And that realization reshaped your internal language. Success stopped looking like more stuff and started feeling like influence. Rich no longer meant excess. It began to mean responsibility. Abundance stopped sounding like escape. It started looking like impact. Yet the shift was not seamless. Some days you felt bold, other days uncertain, because the world never taught you how to merge spiritual awakening with wealth consciousness. Few talk about that in-between space, where the soul awakens long before the supply appears. And it's in this gap that many people misinterpret the process. They think awakening means arrival. But awakening isn't arrival, it's alignment. You felt destiny rising, while your reality still showed limitations. You sensed purpose expanding, while your finances stayed unchanged for a season. And here's why. Spiritual hunger always grows before financial provision. Calling increases volume before cash increases flow. Because heaven doesn't release abundance into vessels not yet prepared to manage it. Unprepared wealth leaks. It never builds legacy. Capacity must be constructed before overflow arrives. So God reshaped your thinking first. You began noticing success patterns that previously escaped you. Your awareness expanded toward systems, investment, ownership, stewardship, not merely income. Your questions deepened. Why do some families build generational cycles of wealth while others remain caught in survival loops? What would it mean to become a channel of blessing rather than a consumer of comfort? And without realizing it, wealth didn't awaken inside you. Your spirit awakened to wealth. Because the very moment your consciousness expanded, resources began sensing your future trajectory. And though nothing shifted outward immediately, everything realigned inwardly. Connections started assembling in unseen dimensions. Paths formed quietly. Favor warmed your future before ever touching your present. And this prophetic word speaks directly to you, chosen one. If you have recently felt a pull toward abundance, you are not chasing money. Divine provision has begun responding to your calling. There are internal shifts that always accompany this awakening, and you know them well. Your tolerance for small thinking collapsed. Conversations that once felt normal now feel empty. You grew weary of drama and surface ambition. Your spirit started craving elevation. Your fear around prosperity softened. You stopped associating wealth with corruption. You recognized prosperity as righteous stewardship. Your vision stretched past personal comfort. You began seeing family elevation, institution building, community healing, impact beyond ego. Your discipline shifted. Time became sacred. Influence became selective. Preparation quietly replaced distraction. And finally, your identity rewrote itself. Before resources shifted externally, your self-perception shifted internally. You stopped seeing yourself as a struggler. You began sensing something deeper. I am a future steward. This is what prosperity activation looks like long before abundance becomes visible. But here is the tension few articulate. Your awakening is happening while your reality is still catching up, and doubt often tries to speak during this gap. What if I imagine this? What if I'm not really chosen? But the prophetic message remains constant. You were selected by God. The stirring wasn't accidental. The hunger wasn't random. The vision didn't rise from ego. It emerged from assignment. And here is something few chosen ones fully understand. Those called to wealth feel financial tension more intensely than others. Not because they are failing, but because their spirit knows that less than purpose provision doesn't fit their destiny. The discomfort you felt has not been impatience. It has been activation. Your soul has already visited a future that your physical world hasn't materialized yet. And while you wait, heaven prepares what remains unseen. Sudden wealth from God never strikes randomly. It flows toward prepared vessels, which means every lesson you endured, every discipline you practiced, every disappointment you didn't abandon yourself through, all of it has been calibrating your nervous system, mindset, and emotional maturity to receive overflow without collapsing under its weight. This is the sacred side of preparation. You are learning to carry vision without visible provision. Many can manage money. Few can carry destiny. And you, chosen billionaire, were anointed to steward both. But the awakening is not complete yet, because after stirring comes testing. After alignment comes pressure. Pressure that examines readiness. Pressure that refines character. Pressure that determines how much overflow can safely flow. And next, that threshold season arrives. The stage that feels tight, delayed, stretching. The phase many mislabel as defeat, but which heaven calls qualification. And it leads directly into the next wave, the blockage and testing phase, where your faith, endurance, and alignment determine the scale of what you are about to receive. There comes a season that almost every God's chosen one misunderstands. A season that doesn't look holy, doesn't feel victorious, doesn't resemble blessing at all. It's the stretch, the pause between prophecy and possession. The phase where the wealth prophecy has already been spoken, but the money hasn't arrived yet. And emotionally, this is the hardest part of the journey, because expectations rise, while circumstances stay quiet. You can feel change coming, yet the doors don't open as quickly as you hoped. Finances tighten, opportunities stall. Progress moves slower than you know you're capable of. And this is where doubt tries to slip in quietly. Did I hear God wrong? Was I really chosen for this? Why does it still look like struggle? But hear this clearly, chosen one. Blockage seasons do not mean disqualification. They mean preparation. Heaven never releases overflow into an untested vessel. What you've been walking through is not abandonment. It is qualification. And here's a truth few ever tell the chosen. The final stage before abundance often looks like stagnation. The moment before divine wealth transfer begins often feels like nothing is happening at all. What if the stillness you resented was actually calibration? During this season, life presses on what hasn't matured yet. Your patience is tested. Your emotional stability is stretched. Your identity is confronted. Old fears surface one final time. Because whatever cannot remain calm under pressure cannot be trusted with influence. So the season asks uncomfortable questions. Can you celebrate others' success without shrinking? Can you stay disciplined when results are delayed? Can you walk in faith when your bank account speaks louder than your spirit? This is where many falter. They assume pressure means turn back, but pressure means scale strength. Diamonds are not formed by comfort. They are born in compression. And you have been under compression for a reason. Let me say something that may hit deeply. Every restriction you endured enforced internal expansion, because lack teaches stewardship. Delay teaches discipline. Silence teaches spiritual authority. When there is nothing outward to lean on, you learn how to stand on the inside. And here's what makes this phase so bewildering. You're not only struggling, you're growing faster than ever. Your habits are sharpening, your discernment is deepening, your boundaries are strengthening, your intuition is heightening. At the very moment you feel most unseen, heaven is shaping you most intensely. What appears empty on the outside is often the fullest season on the inside. This is where spiritual wealth manifestation begins putting down unseen roots. Because manifestation always follows maturation. And maturation rarely feels glamorous. It feels like exhaustion mixed with endurance. Hope mixed with heaviness. Faith mixed with frustration. But here is the breakthrough truth. Tests are not roadblocks, they are readiness checks. Life begins inspecting the foundation of your identity. Are you still who you claimed to be when vision was loud? Now that waiting is louder, because wealth multiplies whatever identity already exists. If identity is fragile, wealth amplifies insecurity. If identity is mature, wealth amplifies stewardship. And heaven is preparing maturity inside you. This testing phase humbles the ego while fortifying the spirit. It strips away performance without purpose, dissolves desperation, purifies intent. So when wealth arrives, it flows into a grounded vessel, not a fragile one. And here is where many of the deepest emotional breakthroughs occur. You realize your peace no longer depends on results. Your worth no longer requires applause. Your belief stabilizes without external validation. Chosen billionaire. Hear this whisper straight to your spirit. This is the season where God trusts you with silence. Silence is not abandonment, it is intimacy. Wisdom forms when nothing is shouting. And those who remain faithful in quiet seasons are the ones heaven trusts with influence in louder ones. Pause here with me for a moment. Have you noticed how recently you stopped pleading and started standing? Have you felt quiet strength replacing anxious striving? That's not coincidence. That shift tells us something extraordinary. Your testing phase is nearing completion, because readiness is not marked by abundance. Readiness is marked by stability before abundance. When your soul can hold peace without money, it can steward wealth with integrity when money arrives. And here is what may soothe that aching space inside you. God does not test what He does not intend to promote. He only qualifies those He plans to elevate. Everything you endured, all the moments you stayed when you could have quit, when you believed while seeing nothing, when you kept growing under pressure, none of it was wasted. Every endurance hour has been counting upward on heaven's scale of readiness. You are not in the breakdown stage. You are in the breakthrough staging area. And the shift will not announce itself loudly. Often, you only realize you crossed the threshold once the doors suddenly open. Resources begin shifting unexpectedly. Opportunities appear without effort. Favor flows with lighter resistance than ever before. Provision begins meeting preparation, because storms clear quickly once qualification is complete. So hear this clearly. Chosen one. What you're facing now is not a wall. It's the doorway moment that decides timing. Your authority is awakening. Acceleration is beginning. Your resilience is turning into evidence. Your preparation is becoming visible positioning. Your testing season is graduating into your activation season. And what comes next is the moment when the chosen one message no longer sounds like promise. It unfolds as lived awakening, where alignment doesn't announce itself, it activates. Where doors don't need to be forced, they recognize your arrival. Where momentum doesn't rush, it waits quietly behind you, ready to move the moment you step forward. Because what's beginning now is not just movement, it's recognition. And heaven has already marked you for what comes next. Something changes in you right around now. Not with noise, not with fireworks, but with a quiet inner shift that almost feels too subtle to notice at first. You wake up one morning and realize the weight you've been carrying doesn't press against your chest the same way anymore. The fear that once whispered at the edges of your decisions, it sounds distant now. And the hesitation that used to keep you circling your destiny instead of stepping into it begins to loosen its grip. Because this is the phase where your identity finally starts catching up to your calling. Few talk about this moment, but it's the stage where you stop asking permission to become who you were already chosen to be. And here's what surprises most chosen ones. This activation doesn't arrive in a spotlight. It unfolds as certainty, a quiet knowing, a grounded confidence, an unshakable sense that something powerful has already shifted, even before proof appears. You begin to move differently, not rushed, but intentional, not striving, but stable. People notice the stillness in your voice. Your eyes no longer search for approval. Your posture carries quiet authority, not arrogance, but recognition. Because when the chosen one identity awakens, you stop performing for spaces you were meant to lead. You stop shrinking to fit environments that were never built to hold your expansion. And this is where discomfort arises. Not with you, but with the version of you people can no longer control. Your tone changes. You say less, yet your words land heavier. You walk into rooms without trying to impress and still command attention, not because your ego grew, but because alignment settled in. This is the meeting place of spiritual awareness and financial authority, where the prophetic truth becomes more than encouragement. It becomes instruction, where God chose you stops sounding inspirational and starts functioning as operational reality. And here's what's unfolding deep inside you now. 3 quiet stages of identity activation almost no one notices while living through them. First, you stop apologizing for your vision. You no longer shrink your dreams so they sound digestible to fearful minds. Your words become measured, not because your dreams got smaller, but because you realized you don't owe explanations to anyone not walking your path. And in this phase, many chosen ones feel a subtle return of loneliness. Because conversations that once comforted you no longer nourish you. Not because people changed, but because you did. You began separating emotionally from small thinking, even while still standing physically among it. Second, you give yourself permission to desire more without guilt. This shift is sacred. Prosperity stops feeling like something you must justify spiritually. Wealth no longer looks like temptation. It becomes assignment. You finally understand that spiritual wealth manifestation isn't about greed. It's about provision with purpose, about becoming resourced for what heaven wants to build through your life. And this stage threatens every scarcity-based belief system, because a heart unashamed of abundance cannot be controlled. Resistance rises here. Voices question you. Who do you think you are? Why you? Why would you be chosen for wealth? But the truth few dare to speak is this: you were selected for stewardship, not because you were perfect, but because your heart was prepared to remain humble even when blessed. Third, you step into financial authority consciousness, not obsession, but awareness. Your decisions deepen, your planning matures, your goals stabilize, and your prayers shift from survival requests to alignment commands. Position me right, connect me correctly, prepare me for what's already preparing to arrive. This is where the battlefield changes. Challenges stop targeting provision and begin targeting identity. Because the test becomes, will you remain steady while your environment reacts to your elevation? And this is where separation reappears. Some people withdraw when you no longer relate to limitation conversations. Some quietly question your humility when you start walking in calm confidence. Some ask uncomfortable questions not to gain understanding, but because your expansion exposes their stagnation. But hear this clearly. Chosen billionaire. Isolation during activation is not rejection. It is protection. It is space being cleared around your destiny, so your destiny shift does not get diluted by distraction. And right now, you stand at the edge where activation becomes application, where knowing becomes movement, where the prophetic word becomes the voice you finally speak over your own future. Because the chosen one no longer waits for signs to move forward. The chosen one becomes the sign. And this realization lands with quiet power. Financial authority begins internally long before blessings appear externally. Your posture shifts before your bank balance does. Your mindset stabilizes before money multiplies. Your peace deepens before increase manifests. This is heavenly increase forming at the root, not at the branches. And listen closely. The identity you're stepping into cannot be reversed. Once consciousness expands, it doesn't collapse. Once calling awakens, it cannot be muted again. And once you accept that you were chosen for wealth, there is no returning to comfort inside scarcity thinking. What begins within you today becomes outwardly undeniable tomorrow. That's why what you feel right now is both heavy and light. Heavy with responsibility, light with release, because the mantle is settling not to burden you, but to empower you. And in this activation moment, the ancient declaration finally becomes personal. You are not chasing success anymore. Success has quietly begun finding you, and what comes next explains everything. There comes a moment, and most don't realize when they cross it, when striving quietly ends. Not because effort disappears, but because alignment replaces force. You don't notice it at first. Things simply begin to fall into place without resistance. Conversations unfold more naturally. Doors respond with less friction. Opportunities appear, not through chasing, but through timing. And here's the part few understand. Provision doesn't rush in loudly. It arrives calmly, already decided. Because when identity activates, alignment follows automatically. What many call luck is simply the visible effect of God's divine timing finally intersecting with personal readiness. And right now, chosen one, you are standing inside one of those invisible intersections. Let this settle deep in you. Your blessings were never delayed. They were being synchronized. Resources had to align with character. Visibility had to align with stability. Increase had to align with stewardship. That's why every closed door behind you mattered, not as rejection, but as redirection into position. Provision doesn't accelerate when you're desperate. It accelerates when you're steady. And that steadiness now lives in you. That's why alignment starts to feel surreal. You find yourself meeting the right people without searching. Mentors enter conversations unexpectedly. Old connections resurface at strategic moments. Financial pathways open through interactions you never planned to have. Small decisions unlock disproportionate results. This stage often goes unnoticed because it doesn't look dramatic. But spiritually, this is where destinies begin to make financial moves, where divine wealth transfer starts quietly before it ever becomes visible, where sudden wealth from God approaches not as a reckless miracle, but as a coordinated progression. Let this reassure your spirit. You don't need to hustle this season. You only need to recognize it. When heaven funds assignment, increase moves toward you. You begin to notice how money flows more smoothly. Not reckless wealth, not chaotic gains, but streams built with structure and sustainability. A new discipline rises within you. A sharper focus emerges. You gain clarity about what deserves your pursuit and what is simply emotional noise. This is stewardship awakening within the soul. And suddenly you understand why that wealth breakthrough prayer you whispered months ago never returned immediate answers. It was never ignored. It was being processed. Because unseen alignments were forming behind the scenes. Alignments every chosen billionaire experiences right before expansion arrives at scale. First, environmental repositioning. Your surroundings begin to shift. Relocations, schedule changes, releases from draining environments. Sometimes even small shifts. Reorganizing finances, changing routines, are signs of heaven repositioning your foundation. Second, divinely timed connections. New voices step into your world. Mentors appear. Gatekeepers open unexpectedly. Decision makers recognize you without knowing why. This is heaven networking your destiny. Third, mental stabilization. Your emotions stop overreacting. Fear loses its authority. You respond instead of react. You plan instead of panic. Because sustainable wealth demands a nervous system capable of holding peace under pressure. Fourth, opportunity recognition. You begin seeing what others overlook, not because you're smarter, but because you're aligned. Your discernment sharpens, your timing improves, your intuition guides decisions instinctively. Fifth, financial favor activation. Unexpected repayments arrive. Overdue approvals break loose. Sudden increases occur. Business doors start creaking open. Debt relief manifests unexpectedly. Not through chaos, but through flow. And now, the truth that resolves everything. Provision arrives not when a chosen one wants it, not when they beg for it, but when their identity matures enough to steward it. And that, right now, is where you stand. You don't feel frantic anymore. You don't feel behind. For the first time in a long while, you feel ready. And as alignment deepens, peace walks alongside momentum. The certainty that you are no longer walking toward destiny. Destiny has started moving toward you. And this produces one of the most sacred feelings of all. Anticipation without anxiety. Expectation without pressure. Confidence without arrogance. And heaven whispers softly, You were never forgotten. You were never passed over. You were always positioned perfectly. This chosen one message is not hype, it is confirmation. Because if this wasn't meant to reach you now, it simply wouldn't have. So let me ask you gently, have relationships started rearranging lately? Have financial conversations subtly shifted? Has one particular idea stayed returning to your spirit, refusing to release you? That isn't coincidence. That is alignment speaking. So if this resonates, type, I receive it. Not to beg heaven, but because agreement anchors expectation. And expectation activates atmosphere. From this point forward, increase isn't something you wait on. It's something you cooperate with. Because your season of striving has given way to your season of receiving. And what's unfolding next places this wealth into something far greater than personal success. It connects your rise to a generational destiny. There's a sacred realization that surfaces once provision settles around you. And it changes everything. You begin to understand. This season was never only about you. The wealth stepping into your hands was never meant to stop at your doorstep. It was engineered to flow through your bloodline. Because generational destiny activates once personal provision stabilizes. And here's what few are prepared for. When blessings appear, a deeper calling emerges. Not the calling to enjoy wealth alone, but to become the turning point in a family story. You're not just becoming comfortable. You're becoming consequential. Think about this. Cycles of scarcity, emotional instability, financial inconsistency, limitations passed down in silence. They didn't attach to you by accident. You were selected by God to become the interruption to that storyline. And suddenly you see, your hunger was never greed. Your refusal to settle wasn't arrogance. Your ambition wasn't accidental. It was ancestral assignment. You were encoded with destiny shift authority to rewrite what no one healed before your arrival. And truthfully, you never wanted wealth only for yourself. You wanted to reclaim lost opportunities, stabilize your parents, secure your children, establish family safety for futures you could barely imagine. The ache inside you was generational longing. And when God chose you, He didn't just choose a person. He chose a bloodline representative. That's why your path felt lonely. Trailblazers walk first, inheritance holders walk later. You were designed to go first to stabilize finances, first to build assets, first to move beyond survival into stewardship, first to think generationally instead of seasonally. Being the first is emotionally heavy because you have no blueprint behind you. You learned leadership in isolation, discipline without examples, ambition while misunderstood. And even as blessing rises, you sometimes still feel alone. But you aren't isolated. You're standing on the edge of elevation. Your breakthroughs now heal ancestral wounds. Your stability repairs generational nervous systems. Your overflow rewrites poverty narratives decades in the making. You realize you're not just receiving blessings, you're becoming a blessing. Your investments will protect descendants you'll never meet. Your decisions will fund futures you'll never see. Your wisdom will prevent struggles no one before you could avoid. And real generational wealth doesn't erupt. It grows quietly. Steady savings, calm stability, bills paid without anxiety, homes built with peace, consistent expansion. Legacy forms in disciplined stillness. This isn't pressure. This is purpose. Intent becomes inheritance. What you build now becomes the foundation your lineage launches from. Heaven didn't choose you because you were perfect. It chose you because you were teachable, resilient, and willing to grow. Your mistakes never disqualified you. They refined your stewardship. Your story now matures beyond me, into we. Your children's children will rise higher because you stood up when it mattered. And this is the heart of the wealth prophecy. God isn't raising billionaires. He is raising legacy architects. And quietly, something echoes in your spirit. I was born for this. If that stirs something deep within you, type I receive it. Because agreement multiplies momentum. And what unfolds next is where legacy connects to eternal purpose, where destiny rises higher than prosperity alone, and the final transformation begins. There comes a moment, quiet and gentle, when you no longer feel the urge to prove anything to the world, not because the dream faded, but because the knowing settled in. You stop chasing confirmation, because confirmation is now living inside you. And that's when the soft realization arrives. You were never overlooked, not for a single season, not in any silent struggle, not in any waiting you thought went unnoticed. Every delay shaped discernment. Every closed door redirected precision. Every tear sharpened the vision. There was never abandonment in your story, only preparation working invisibly. And consider this. What if nothing in your life was late? What if everything simply arrived exactly when your capacity caught up to your calling? Because timing is rarely about dates, it's about readiness. And now, something in you feels different. You don't need fireworks. You don't need dramatic signs. You feel steady, rooted, clear, and you realize the strongest seasons never begin loudly. They begin quietly. Peace enters first, ambition follows next, and alignment seals everything. And this is where bonding truly happens, not between you and a message, but between you and your future self. You begin to see the version of you walking toward abundance with grace, leading without ego, providing without fear, building without pressure, and living without apology. And softly, almost like a whisper in your chest, a truth takes shape. I was always meant to get here. Not because you were chosen at random, but because you answered every refining moment with courage. Even when you didn't realize you were being refined. Even when endurance felt like nothing more than survival. But here's what lifts the soul. You never walked alone. When nights felt endless. Guidance was already arranging tomorrow. When doubts felt overwhelming. Clarity was being prepared ahead of you. When you questioned your direction, divine recalibration was shaping your next step. Deep down, you always sensed it. That calm in chaos, that strength during heartbreak, that clarity when exhaustion peaked. It wasn't coincidence, it was companionship. And now you feel something new. Not the pressure to perform, but the peace of belonging. As if you finally arrived at the place where your journey makes sense. And here, chosen one, we breathe together, because belonging fuels consistency, and consistency builds destiny. And if this message resonates with your spirit, stay close to the chosen billionaire journey. This channel exists for souls walking the same path of awakening, expansion, and purpose. Those called not just to wealth, but to stewardship, leadership, and legacy. And notice something quietly shifting lately. Does your life feel guided instead of forced? That's alignment strengthening. The chasing has stopped, and the receiving has begun. Let me ask you gently, when did you first realize you were meant for more? Was it in childhood? After a moment of loss? During an awakening season? Or in a quiet whisper you couldn't ignore? Share it in the comments, because your story may become the spark another chosen one needs to find their voice. No destiny evolves in isolation. We rise together. And as we prepare to continue this journey, let this truth settle in your soul. You are not late. You are exactly on time. The path beneath your feet is forming as you walk. The fragments you once questioned are joining into a larger picture. Your story isn't closing, it's opening wider. And here is the final truth to rest in. What's unfolding for you is not something you must chase. It is something already moving toward you. So breathe into this knowing. You are seen. You are guided. You are not alone. And the confirmations have only just begun.